Also the Pro-Chancellor of the University and Chairman Governing Council, Professor Hafiz Abubakar, the representative of His Highness the Emir of Kano, Malam Muhammad Sanusi II, who is ably represented here by Alhaji Modi Yakase, Hakimin Gado, the Vice Chancellor, Northwest University, and of course the Vice Chancellor, Capital City University, Kano. The lead presenter of this conference, Professor Tijani Bande, the former permanent representatives of the United Nations, representing Nigeria, of course, the chairman of the conference organizing committee, my colleague, Brigadier General A.M. Tukur, Commander 3 Brigade, the Director, State Security, Alhaji Abubakar Hussein, distinguished students, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. First, I want to seize this opportunity to appreciate the organizers of this conference for extending invitation to me as the guest speaker. This invitation was given to me about 3 months ago. As at that time, I wasn't sure I was going to attend because I thought probably by the time this is happening, I would have been in China. But since I haven't gone yet, I left Abuja this morning to attend it. Yeah, the theme of the conference, Global Security Challenges in the 21st Century, is apt. And I've been asked to speak on Nigeria's defense strategy in a multipolar world, implications for US, China, Russia competition in the country. By the program, which I only received yesterday, my speech is to last for only 15 minutes. I hope I will stick to that timing. But if I don't, you pardon me. One of the consequences of globalization is the shift from a US-led unipolar system towards a fragmented multipolar order defined by competing power centers. Rapid growth in Asia and the global South has eroded American hegemony. There is intense competition between the US, China, and Russia for resources, for technology, and strategic influence, sometimes leading to global instability. The rise of a multipolar world characterized by the emergence of multiple global powers and shifting international influence has significant implications for Nigeria. As power dynamics become more distributed, Nigeria has greater opportunities to diversify its diplomatic and economic engagements beyond traditional partners, fostering stronger regional and international alliances. This multipolarity can enhance Nigeria's bargaining power, attract foreign investment, and facilitate access to new markets and technologies, vital for our development. However, it also presents challenges such as increased geopolitical competition, potential for external interference, and the need to navigate complex diplomatic landscapes. Nigeria must strategically position itself by bolstering its internal stability, diversifying its economy, and engaging proactively in regional and global forums. Embracing a balanced foreign policy approach would be crucial for Nigeria to harness the opportunities of a multipolar world while safeguarding its sovereignty and fostering sustainable growth. Now, let's look at the current defense framework in Nigeria. Nigeria's current defense framework is primarily centered around the military, the armed forces, as we call them, as a comprehensive, evolving structure designed to ensure national security, sovereignty, territorial integrity, and stability against both external aggression and severe internal threats like what we're experiencing today in terrorism and banditry. Additionally, Nigeria partners with regional and international organizations such as the African Union and United Nations to support peacekeeping missions and foster regional stability. At one point in time, Nigeria was the second largest contributor of troops to the United Nations peacekeeping efforts. The emphasis of Nigeria's defense policy on sovereignty, territorial integrity, and national security is done within a framework that integrates the military, diplomatic, and socio-economic strategies. The establishment of specialized units such as the Defense Intelligence Agency underscores the focus on intelligence-led operations. Furthermore, Nigeria continues to seek international support, including military assistance and training from allies like the United States, United Kingdom, and France. Now, there are quite a lot of security challenges in Nigeria. The security environment is a complex one in that this environment includes threats of attacks by armed non-state actors in the northeast, the Boko Haram, ISWAP, and the like, violent extremism, kidnapping for ransom and organized crime in the northwest, secessionist agenda, violent agitation, piracy, and cultism in the south. Conflicts over land between herders and farmers, exacerbated by climate change, discriminatory land policies, and population growth have primarily affected the north central and the northwest geopolitical regions. Biafra secessionist violent activities have resulted in hundreds of deaths, while militants in the Niger Delta have pressured the government through kidnappings and attacks on people and oil infrastructure. Pirates have sabotaged pipelines and kidnapped oil workers for many decades, and piracy in the Gulf of Guinea is now among the worst in the world. Transborder criminal activities, especially of trafficking in arms and drugs and terrorism, are of particular concern. On this, I want to note that there are about, in terms of the proliferation of small arms and violence, in terms of proliferation of firearms, there are over 40 million firearms in the hands of non-state actors in Africa. And out of that number, 11 million are within the Sahel. And out of that 11 million, substantial figure of that is in Nigeria. So this is a cause for concern. To counter these threats, Nigeria has adopted a multi-pronged approach that combines military action, intelligence sharing, and community engagement. The government has increased budget allocations for defense and security, aiming to improve logistics, intelligence, and personnel capacity. Efforts are also underway to strengthen border security to prevent cross-border insurgent movements and illegal activities. Nigeria's security challenges are not limited to threats from non-state actors. There are existential socio-economic threats resulting from poor developmental issues. Human security, which is defined by widespread threats to individual safety, economic survival, and dignity, is in a state of crisis. For example, multidimensional poverty driven by high inflation, weak economic growth, and structural inequalities affects 63%, approximately 139 million people of our population. This is according to the 2022 survey conducted by the National Bureau of Statistics. And according to UNICEF, in its Nigerian Child 2025 report, 2 out of every children in Nigeria live in multidimensional poverty, meaning that they lack access to essentials such as healthcare, quality education, nutrition, protection, and clean water. The World Bank also notes that as a result of this situation, 110 out of every 1,000 Nigerian children die before the age of 5. 40% are stunted and 52% are not developmentally on track before entering school due to persistent gaps in maternal health, nutrition, early learning, and access to water and sanitation. Nigeria requires regional and global partnerships to tackle these existential security challenges because we cannot handle them alone. And we can leverage on the competition among the global powers in Nigeria to provide assistance in training, equipment, intelligence sharing, and security governance to complement Nigeria's security forces. Likewise, we need the partnership of these powers to tackle issues bordering on human security. We need to develop the institutions, reduce poverty, create employment, guarantee food security, elevate educational opportunities in access and quality, provide accessible and quality healthcare services, and ensure adequate housing. If by multipolar world means the global order where power and influence are distributed among multiple major powers and regions, then the United Nations Security Council has reflected this picture since its expansion in 1945. The 5 permanent members, that is United States, China, Russia, UK, and France, have veto powers they equally exercise on any substantive non-procedural resolution put forward before the Council. Beyond the veto powers, all the permanent members are nuclear powers, although the US and Russia control about 90% of the nuclear arsenals in global inventory. However, the reality is that these permanent members of the Council are split into Western and Eastern blocs, the former represented by the US, UK, and France, while the latter by Russia and China. Of course, the voting patterns mostly depict these ideological groupings' interests. A multipolar world is one that is not dominated by a single superpower, or one that is dominated by more than 2 global powers. The Cold War period represented by polarity in the world order because between the US and the then Soviet Union. In this emerging landscape, countries such as China, India, and European Union, and regional powers like Iran and Nigeria play increasing significant roles in shaping international politics, economics, and security. Why is Nigeria attractive to world powers? Nigeria is attractive to world powers primarily due to its status as Africa's most populous nation with over 230 million people, projected to double by 2050. This population presents additionally, there are significant oil and gas reserves, vast untapped mineral resources including rare earth minerals, a rapid growing tech sector, and an immense soft power driven by foreign investment and strategic interests. Nigeria has a massive young population that not only serves as a crucial market but also offering future labor force. Little wonder that Nigeria itself is considered a regional power and the African Union in conflict resolution and peacekeeping, making it a critical partner. Likewise, this country's location in the strategic Gulf of Guinea makes it play a pivotal role in maritime security and international energy supply routes. Nigeria's international organizations such as UN, ECOWAS, and African Union allow it to shape policies that promote regional stability. Nigeria's journey within a multipolar world also represents notable challenges. The country must navigate complex international dynamics, balancing relations with diverse global powers while addressing internal security issues, economic disparities, and governance concerns. Now, the US-China strategic interest in Nigeria. The United States and Nigeria have enjoyed a strong security partnership for over 50 years, both bilaterally and through regional and multilateral fora like ECOWAS, African Union, and the Multinational Joint Task Force. The US seeks to strengthen its partnership with Nigeria by supporting economic development, democracy, and good governance. It also focuses on securing access to Nigeria's energy and mineral resources and market opportunities while also enhancing regional influence. China. Nigeria-China bilateral trade is robust and rapid growing, exceeding $22.3 billion in 2025, marking about 30% increase from the previous year, that was 2024. By gaining access to Nigeria's natural resources, China seeks to meet growing energy needs, its growing energy needs. Long-term strategic partnerships are prioritized to ensure mutual economic growth. Russia. Nigeria-Russia relations can be traced to the 1960s, culminating in the 2021 Military Technical Cooperation Agreement. The Soviet Union then played a significant decisive role in the Nigerian Civil War between 1967 and 1970 by providing crucial military aid and technical support to the federal military government then. While Western powers hesitated, Moscow stepped in supplying aircraft, bombs, and heavy weapons that directly facilitated federal victory. Now, the dynamics of US-China-Russia competition. Recently, in a memo to President Trump, a US Congress House of Foreign Affairs Committee recommended that Trump, as president, should strike a bilateral agreement between the United States and the government of Nigeria to counter adversaries in the region, including Chinese Communist Party and Russian Federation, unquote. This shows the kind of competition they have in their mind. Furthermore, that the agreement should include commitments, and I quote, to continue and expand security cooperation with the United States, including divestment of Russian military equipment for American military equipment through sales and financing. Likewise, there should be commitment to counteract the hostile foreign exploitation of Chinese mining operations. So this notes of the Foreign Relations Committee, House Foreign Relations Committee, shows the kind of idea of competition they have in mind. The competition among US, China, and Russia in Nigeria is driven by their respective strategic interests in economic resources, regional influence, and security partnerships. The United States primarily focuses on military dominance, exhibiting the capacity to deploy its forces anywhere in the world, and maintains a vast global military presence. It establishes military bases in all regions globally and operates in extended lines of communication. There are about 800 such bases in approximately 80 foreign countries and territories. Of course, minus those ones that Iran recently destroyed. The US controls 70 to 85% of all military bases worldwide. So this is the style of the United States. China's strategy in Nigeria is largely centered on economic expansion. Now, I forgot to add that the US here in Nigeria, the US does not have permanent base in Nigeria, although there are about 100 US military personnel that arrived early in 2026 to Bauchi State for training, advisory roles, and intelligence sharing to support Nigeria's security forces against violent non-state actors. China's strategy in Nigeria is largely centered on economic expansion through investments, infrastructure development, and trade. By financing large-scale projects such as roads, ports, and energy facilities, China leverages natural resources, economic growth. This economic influence is complemented by a long-term vision of strategic partnership, challenging Western dominance and establishing China as a dominant player in African resource sector. Using its Belt and Road Initiative involving massive multi-trillion dollar global infrastructure and economic development strategy launched in 2013, China aims to connect Asia, Europe, and Africa through vast land and maritime trade routes, covering about 150 countries to boost trade, connectivity, and Chinese influence. Russia's engagement in Nigeria revolves around security and resource access, positioning itself as an alternative partner to both Western countries and China. Through military sales, training, and collaborations with private military firms like Wagner, Russia seeks to deepen its security ties and expand its influence within Nigeria's defense sector. What are the implications to Nigeria's defense strategy? The growing involvement of US, China, Russia in Nigeria's political, geopolitical, and economic landscape has significant implications for the country's defense strategy. Firstly, Nigeria must adapt to the increasing presence of foreign military and security sectors, which could influence its internal and regional security dynamics. The influx of Chinese technology and infrastructure support might enhance Nigeria's capacity to modernize its armed forces. Simultaneously, the increasing Russian military engagement, including training and private military contractors, introduces new tactics, weapon systems, and security paradigm that Nigeria needs to understand and integrate into its own defense planning. Secondly, Nigeria's defense strategy must now consider the broader geopolitical context among these global powers. With China fostering developmental diplomacy, Russia focusing on security, Russia and United States focusing on security collaborations, Nigeria becomes a key strategic arena where influence is contested. This requires Nigeria to develop a balanced approach that safeguards its sovereignty while leveraging partnerships for capacity building without becoming overly dependent on any single external actor. Lastly, the complex interplay of these influences necessitates a re-evaluation of Nigeria's military capabilities and strategic priorities. Nigeria needs to enhance its own defense capacity to maintain autonomy and defend against diverse threats, including terrorism and interference. Strengthening intelligence, cyber warfare, and counterterrorism units will be vital, as well as developing an integrated security network that coordinates efforts. So doing, Nigeria can better navigate competitive landscape among US, China, and Russia, ensuring its defense strategy remains flexible, autonomous, and aligned with national sovereignty and regional stability. Challenges and valuable opportunities. One of the primary challenges is the risk of external influence undermining Nigerian sovereignty and political stability. As these major powers vie for influence, Nigeria may face pressure to align with one bloc over another, potentially leading to fragmented policy decisions and heightened regional tensions. Additionally, the influx of military equipment, technology, and economic aid for competing countries could create dependencies that hinder Nigeria's long-term strategic autonomy. Moreover, competition may exacerbate existing security threats as rival powers often support different factions or provide conflicting counterterrorism approaches, complicating Nigeria's efforts to maintain peace, just like the Christian genocide issue they try to import into Nigeria. However, this geopolitical rivalry also opens up notable opportunities for Nigeria to leverage its strategic position for national development. By engaging with multiple global powers, Nigeria can diversify its partnership, which can lead to enhanced access to technological transfer, military modernization, and economic investment. Such diversification reduces reliance on a single external actor, fostering a more balanced and autonomous foreign policy. Nigeria can also serve as a crucial regional hub, attracting infrastructure projects, diplomatic engagements that promote regional stability and economic growth. Nonetheless, capitalizing on these opportunities requires careful management and associated risk. Nigeria can develop clear, consistent policies to govern foreign engagements, ensuring external assistance aligns with national interests and sovereignty. In conclusion, Nigeria's strategic positioning in a rapidly evolving multipolar world necessitates a nuanced and proactive approach to its defense and foreign policy. Key insights highlight the importance of building internal capacity across critical sectors such as technology and infrastructure to reduce external vulnerabilities. Promoting open dialogue and diplomacy with major powers like the US, China, and Russia will foster mutual understanding and collaboration on shared challenges. Leveraging regional and global platforms can elevate Nigeria's role as a facilitator for peace and stability. Thank you for listening.